Hello and welcome. Now in this course, we will be working with teams and business teams. And in order to work with business teams, you'll note that when you create a business team, you will need to have business class Trello. Your team member will also need to have business class Trello to get access to the benefits in order to use the controls that we'll be talking about in this course. Now, two of the main reasons that we'll be looking at business class of Trello is we'll need to work with multiple power-ups on particular boards. In addition to that, building teams can be helped by giving other individuals administrative control. Now, in some cases, there are workarounds if you are going to use the free account. But in order to upgrade your account, you'll need to go to this plus button, click Create Business Team, click the Learn More link. That's going to bring you to upgrade your team. You're then going to click Upgrade My Team. You can then go with the monthly billing or the annual billing. Annual billing obviously saves, and then you'll click Start Business Class. Now, it's likely that you noticed in your profile area that there was a level of Trello that is not discussed on the pricing page, and it's called Trello Gold. And Trello Gold is billed monthly at $5 per month. Now, what Trello Gold does is allows you to attach documents to your cards up to 250 megabytes. It allows you multiple power-ups in a particular board, and then it allows you to set up your boards in different manners. However, it does not give you the administrative capability to manage large or growing teams. Trello Gold is a personal upgrade, while Business Class is a team upgrade requiring all team members to have the upgraded account. Now, as the administrator, when you start the account, you will be starting with 2 licenses. So you'll be paying $12.50 times 2 plus any other sales tax that will be awarded. So when you're ready to sign up, all you'll need to do is to click Start Business Class. Your profile will then reflect this background, and you are ready then to get started building teams with Trello Business Class. Welcome back. Now in this video, we are going to create the team that we'll be working with and giving administrative power. Now Trello assumes that when you create your team, that you are paying for the team member that'll be working with you. So what you'll need to do then is to add that team member, your business class team. And start that process, you'll click the plus button, and then you'll click Create Business Team. You're then going to give your team a name, and then you're going to click Create. And when you click into your profile, you're going to see your personal profile page. You're going to click the billing link, and you're going to be shown personal billing option, even though you will not be using Trello Gold. What you'll want to do is you'll want to find the link that'll be your team billing page. You'll find that right above your personal billing page. Trello should be telling you that your business class is active, and what you'll want to do is you'll want to click the members area. Now, if the required number of team members are not added, you'll want to add them here by clicking either name by email or by bulk add members. In this case, the team member that will be working with the elements in this course has already been added and is now part of the business team. In fact, when that person logs in, they'll see a message from Trello Business Class. They'll also be able to go into their profile. You'll notice then that they are coupled with the other team members, and that they now have additional settings, which we'll be discussing in this course. Finally, at the very top, as a member of this team, you'll notice that Trello has indicated that this person is part of the business class users. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about observer visibility to a specific board. It's quite possible that you may be working with your team on a project that you want your client to see, but you don't want them to participate and comment on. Well, the Trello Business Class allows you to set up a board where you can give access to someone as an observer, where they can see what's happening with a particular project. You're first going to open up the board menu. and then you're going to click the invite link. What you're going to do next is write the email address of the individual that you will be writing in the box. Now, that person does not have to be a member of Trello, or they can be. So you'll start with their known email address. And when you see that email address, there's an arrow on the right-hand side of their personal identification link. You're going to click that link. You're going to see that there are going to be two options available to you. You can actually make them a normal member, or you can make them an observer. And so because we want this individual to view what we're doing and not necessarily to comment, we're going to add them as an observer. They'll now have access to the list on the board, but they'll have access to them as a particular observer. Now, when this individual logs in, you'll see that they have access to the board called Being More Productive. They can click inside of this board. They can actually view the cards and the progress. However, one of the things that you'll note is that they do not have a space where they can actually write in or comment. So what this does is it gives you and your team added flexibility in terms of who you can add to your board and how many people you want to have as part of your paid users. In fact, you can actually have this person download files from the specific cards. Yet this person's profile still remains a free or personal account. Welcome back. Now, it's quite possible that the individual that you've added to your business team, you want them to begin to manage some of the activity on your Trello board. However, you don't want them to manage everything. And so you'll notice that there are two sets of boards that are available to team members, and then one board that is not. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our team member as an admin to a certain part of our board and leave them off as admin as another part. And to do that, we're going to go into this team where they are a member, and we're going to go into their profile, and you'll notice that they are a normal user. We're going to then go to the drop-down arrow, and then we're going to click Admin. And you'll notice that Trello says that they'll be able to view, create, and edit team boards now and create settings for the team. So what we're going to do is we're going to make them an admin. Now they'll have admin access to all of the boards inside of the Trainers in Productivity set of boards in business class. Now you'll notice when they are first added, they can create a new board within the team. However, they still don't have access to the other team boards. So we'll need to go back and take a look at our settings to make sure that this individual can then edit the content and the settings in our existing boards. So we're now going to come back to this board, Being More Productive. We're going to open it up, and then we're going to invite our team member to this board. We're then going to click Add All Team Members, and we only have one team member. And once again, what we're going to do is we're going to note that there is a right-hand side arrow that we're going to click in order to customize their access. And you'll notice that they have 3 levels that they can be part of: Observer, Normal, and Admin. We're going to make them an admin on this board so that they can begin to manage it. And now that person is an admin on this board, and you can look and see that there is a special designation on their avatar. We're going to do the same thing on the second board. And we're going to go to this board that's called Documents for Proposal. And we're going to open up the menu. We're going to click Invite. We're going to add in our team member, but we're going to customize their addition by clicking this right-hand side arrow. And we're going to add them as an admin. Then we're going to close it up. We're going to note that they are now designated by the special icon on their avatar. And now we'll take a look by logging in as that person. And you'll notice now that not only can the person create boards and teams, They also now have access to the two boards in order to make changes. Hello and welcome. Discussion on particular items takes place at the card level inside of Trello. So for example, if we click inside of this card, you'll notice that any member can add a comment as long as they're a member of the particular board. Now, the unfortunate part of this commenting system is that it isn't conducive to real-time commentary, and it's not necessarily made for board-wide commentary or discussion. What you can do to help your team is to use a power-up to the productivity application called Slack. And Slack is a messaging application made for team collaboration and discussion. And so to do that, we're going to go to our power-up menu inside of the board that we're going to be working in. So for example, if we're working in the Be More Productive board, we're going to go into the Show menu, and then we're going to click on Power-Ups, and then we're going to look for the Slack integration. When we find it, we're going to enable it, and then we're going to configure it for this particular board. And what's going to happen is that whenever there's a board notification, it's going to be sent to a specific Slack channel for more discussion. So we're going to click on Add Slack Alert. We're then going to click Add Slack Team. And then we're going to authorize the integration. We'll choose how we want to interact on that channel, and then we'll click Done. So specific notifications are going to be notifying a specific Slack channel. That means then you can set up parallel channels for real-time communication for your particular boards inside of Trello once you've established the integration. Now what you've basically done is Welcome back. Once you have added someone to your business team, you have several levels of control where you can direct their access. The first level of access, of course, happens at the team level. You'll see here that in this team, we have two members, and this person has been added to our business team. We have made this person an admin. We can, if we want, turn this person into a normal person where they don't have the ability to edit or administrate, but they're able to participate as a team member. Of course, we can make that person the admin again. Now, it's possible that we may want our team member to be admin over one board, but not admin over another board. Perhaps they're not ready to work with one board as an admin. We can go into a particular board. We can go into the board's menu, and we're going to see our admin at the top. We can change this admin through clicking on their profile, going into their permissions, and then changing their permissions to normal. This now means that they are no longer going to be able to administrate this board, but yet they're still left as a default to administer all future boards added to a team. Another way for us to add to a team member's responsibility, especially as an administrator, is to change the permissions of a particular board. For example, we have this personal board that we can go into, and we can then change the nature of the board. So for example, we can click More, we can click Settings, and we can change the team. We can then bring this from No Team into the Trainers and Productivity team. We can make the board visible to the team and allow any team member to join the board. We can disable that, and then we can click Change. And now you'll notice the Thomas Duncan 1 board is now part of the team board, and it's going to be managed and administrated by this particular team member that has admin access. We can do the same thing for the video productivity tutorials, which currently does not have an admin. Currently, the members and the only one part of the board is the person using it. But we can change that by coming back to this front page, going into the board, once again clicking the More, clicking the Settings, and changing the team to the team that has the administrator. And now there are two administrators for all of the boards, and all of the boards are now part of the business team. The only board that cannot be administered by our team administrator is the one that we designated and that we change that person's permissions through their profile link. Now that we have all of our boards under our business team, we can then change the settings for all of the board universally. And we can customize permissions. For example, we can make it so that only admins can create visible or even private boards. We can make it so that only team members can be added to team boards. Basically, what we can do is we can bring all of our boards under the management of one person, with the exception of a that we want to continue to administer. So you have full control over how your members interact as well as how your administrator interacts. In order to administer a board to complete a project, the most important aspect to each step that's added will be the due date. For example, if we were to add a step to this task list, we would write in the step, and then we would need to add to the card by double clicking it, and then we would add a due date to the card. Once we set our due date, we can save the card, and then we can close the card back. That card will join all of the other tasks in the list. Every task for a team that's set up should include some kind of due date and should include some kind of action step. Now, in order to manage these dates, Trello currently does not have a system where you can pin one card to the top. However, it does have a system of sorting. So for example, we can go to this rightmost corner of a particular list. We can then sort this card list by due date. And what happens is that the list will then appear in due date order. And then when the team administrator and or the team member opens up their particular list, they will see the list in date order also. And we can do this with any of the lists in our board. As long as there is a due date, we can then go to the right-hand corner. We can then click Sort by Due Date. And then this list will be ordered according to the due date set by the person who created the card. And you'll see that mirrored in the workspace of our administrator and our team. We can also sort and search according to due date. For example, if we go into our search and we write in the word DUE and we put a colon and we place the number 14, what we'll have is all of the tasks that are going to be due in the next 14 days. We can then save the search, give the search a name, then save the search. Then if we click the link that goes back to our saved searches, you'll notice that as soon as we have our cursor in the search box, we have available to us this search that'll always go and look for all of the tasks that are going to be due in the next 14 days. Now this is one other way that you can make relevant information more accessible to your team. Now there are other searches that you can actually save. If you place your cursor inside of the search box and you click Learn More, you'll see that there are other searches that you can undertake in your board and then save the searches according to the parameters. Welcome back. Now, one of the best ways to work on documents together is to use Google Drive and the Google Docs system. And in order to use this system with a particular board where you already have particular lists that you're working with, is first to go to Google Drive and to create parallel folders. And we want those folders parallel with individual cards. So for example, if we're going to be working with some of the document-based programs in Google Drive, we want to create a folder for card 1, table of contents, and any other card that we're going to be using to work with a document. So now let's take a look at how this would happen in Google Drive. Once you're inside of Google Drive, what you're going to do is you're going to click New and you're going to click Folder. And then you're going to name that folder. What we're going to do now is we're going to drag the documents pertaining to each folder into, so the documents that are relevant to the particular folders, we're going to drag them in. Then we're going to go inside of each folder. What we're going to do with each document is make them available for each of our team members to work on. In order to do that, we're going to go to the documents. We're going to right-click the documents. And then we're going to give our team the ability to edit. We're going to write in the email addresses of the team members that can edit the documents. And then we're going to click Send. And we're going to repeat this for each of the documents in the folder. We're also going to give our team permission to work with the folder. So we're going to click Share, and we're going to give our team the ability to edit. And we'll then click Save. We're now ready to go to Trello for the integration. And in order to collaborate on this card and the documents associated with it, we're going to click inside of the card. And then we're going to go to the Google Drive Power-Up. We're now going to attach a folder. And we're going to attach the Card 1 folder. What we have now are clickable documents that are available to our team members to edit and work on in real time and have their changes update the documents. So not only have we brought in the collaboration within Trello, but we've also given our team member the ability to work with the documents specifically. Welcome back. Trello offers an integration with Google Hangouts so that we would be able to meet with our team and collaborate in real time. To do that, you'd go to Show Menu. You'd find Google Hangouts in the Power-Ups menu, and then you click Enable. Now, when this happens, Google Hangouts then becomes a link in your Trello board. Clicking the link produces a live Google Hangout window that your team can join. When you click Join, you will be starting the meeting. And then anyone that has video capability, whether by mobile or their personal computer, can participate in the meeting. Now, there is one problem with the meeting, and that is that in this manner, the meeting is not going to be archived. Now, there's a slightly better way to archive the meeting and to have the meeting inside of Trello. And to do that, you are going to need to use your YouTube channel. When you're in your YouTube channel, you'll go to your profile area, and then you will click inside of your Creator Studio. Once you're inside of your Creator Studio, you're going to go to the live streaming area, and then you're going to click Events. You're then going to set up a new live event. You'll then have two options when it comes to setup. One option, you can set up a private Google Hangout. And this means then that the only people that will be able to attend will be those that you invite by email, and they'll get access to the Hangout and be able to participate in that way. The other way is to offer an unlisted Hangout. Once you have set the time, you'll then click Create Event. You'll then want to take this link, right-click it, and then you'll head back to Trello. And you should probably have an area where you're going to have your meetings. You should have a card set up where it is dated and timed. What you'll do is you will click inside of this card, and then in the comment area, you are going to take the link that you just picked up from YouTube, and you're going to paste it inside of the comment area. And then you're going to click Save. And what you've now done is you've now embedded the live meeting inside of the Trello card that you are actually going to be discussing. And so this gives you more immediacy to the discussion and keeps your comments about the meeting inside of Trello. Now, when the meeting actually starts, you are going to be able to have your team click this link and watch the meeting live as it happens, as well as to be able to go back and watch the recording. At the time of the meeting, all you'll need to do is to click Start Hangout on Air. And then you'll want to give others the opportunity to become part of the meeting. So to do that, you'll go to this top area where it says Invite People. You will then take this link and you will distribute that link to the rest of the members of your team so that when they join the meeting, they'll be able to discuss the issues if they have video and audio available on their PC or mobile device. Once you start and complete the broadcast, it will then be available on YouTube after the meeting, either as an unlisted video or as a private video. However, you will have conducted your meeting live. It will be within Trello, being streamed through the embed code, and then you'll be able to dictate discussion inside of the card. Welcome back. In order to track the progress of a project being managed in Trello, you have lists, you have cards, and you have within the cards, you have the ability to create checklists. Now again, the checklists don't have due dates associated with each task that is going to be completed. Therefore, you want to make sure that the checklist goes into the completion of a task that is going to be tracked on the outside of the card visually. As you'll see, there is a task, date, and then there is the completion of the components of that date. So you can track your progress through the subtask, and you should also track your progress through the due date. And when you click this due date, it's actually going to show on the front of the card as being completed. And the way that it's shown is in green when compared to all of the other due dates that you see on the outside of the cards. So the question is now, if all of the tasks are completed and all of the subtasks are completed, how then can you manage this list of cards visually? And Trello does give you some alternatives. If you go to the top right menu, you're going to notice that you can archive the entire list. If you're going to reuse the list, you can archive all the cards in the list, or you can move all the cards in the list to another board. For example, if you want to keep a list called completed steps and tasks, you can move those cards into a list similar to that one. Another way to visually track your progress is to use the stickers inside of the menu. If you go in your right side menu and click stickers, you'll notice that you can drag and drop certain stickers onto a particular card. For example, you can drag and drop this checkbox into every completed task. And what this does is it gives you a visual way of being able to determine that your project is moving forward, and everyone that checks in can look to several clues that yes, the project is moving forward. They can look to the task being completed. They can look to the check off of the entire step. And they can look to a sticker or checkbox. And all of this can be administered by your team admin or you as the leader of the project. Hello and welcome. In order to make sure that your team gets all of the updates that are due for their particular project, you're going to want to make sure that they are subscribed to either boards, lists, or cards that they are involved in. In order to be subscribed to a particular board, all you'll need to do is to go to Show Menu, and then you'll click the More button. Then you'll click this link that says Watch. You'll see there that this list will then have a check mark by it. That means then that you are watching this board where we are. Now, in order to watch a list, all you'll need to do is to go to the right-hand side menu at the top, and you'll see a watch designation in that list, and you'll click it. You'll see the check mark there, and then you will then be watching that list. Lastly, you can watch an individual card, or you can require your teammates to watch an individual card in the very same way. So we click inside of the card, And you'll notice that there is a icon there and a link that says watch. We'll click that link. You are then watching this card and all of the activity and discussion that revolves around it. Now, in order to make sure that your team is getting all of the updates, again, you want to set up a policy so that the activity that they are directly involved in, that they are watching all of the updates for that particular list, card, or board. Welcome back. Because teams and organizations use multiple platforms for cloud storage for documents and files, it's necessary to put together a resource that your team can find files when needed. And so in order to do that, you can create for your team a resource board. Now, the goal of a resource board is to provide a searchable database of downloadable content for the entire team, regardless of where a document or file is stored. So the first step is going to be to outline basic categories for all of your files stored online, whether it is you or your team. And then cards are added to each category as files are used and stored. And when you and your team make an entry, the downloadable link should be placed, as well as any labels, which are also going to be used as tags. Now you'll notice this entry has a description, it has the downloadable link, and it has a label. So we can then close out this entry. What you are building will live beyond any team that you have that you're collaborating with, and you'll also have access to all of the resources that you've used previously. The board will then be searchable, and labeling makes your card visible during the search, even though the tag or the label itself is not searchable. And again, you should have one card per file. Welcome back. Previously, it was said that one of the things you can do with a list that you have completed all the tasks in is to archive either the cards or the list. However, if you have an ongoing team, another thing that you can do is to create a playbook or a template for a future project. And one of the first things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take out any of the stickers. And then you want to go to your Trello dashboard. And you want to create a board that's only for templates and playbooks. And so now you have a new board that will only have your templates in it. Then you'll go up to the right side menu of your completed list. You'll then click Move List. You'll then select the board, and you'll select your playbooks, and then you'll click Move. You'll notice then that only the lists that you're still working on are present in your current board. And if we go to the playbooks board, you'll notice that we now have our completed list. We can now choose to leave this list among our project templates so that it will continue to be searchable, or we can archive the list so that it will not be searchable. So in this particular case, we are going to archive the list. And if we decide we want to unarchive the list, we'll just go to this More tab. We'll go to our archived items. We'll switch to lists. And then we will send our Tipster Basic Organization list to the board. And it reappears inside of our Playbooks board. Now, the purpose of having a template is so that we don't have to restart an entire project from scratch. So if we were to open up an existing board and we find that we want to use a template, then we're going to go back to our playbooks and move our project template into this board. And we do that by clicking this right side menu, and we're going to copy the list. And then we're going to create another list. Then we're going to move this list to the board that we actually want the list in. And we're going to move it there with that command. We now have a basic template to set up with an existing project so that we do not have to start creating from scratch. Welcome back. With a few slightly different settings, we can host a webinar inside of our Trello board and lead discussion in that board. We'd start by creating a list, and although you can do this in any list or any card, it's a good idea to create a separate location for this activity. So we're actually going to create a card for a specific webinar. We are going to set a time for this webinar. We're then going to get the link for the card. And we can do that by going to the Share and More link and picking up this link where individuals will be able to come and view the webinar. And now we will go to YouTube Live in order to set up the webinar. And we're going to go to the live streaming area of our channel. We're then going to go to the Events section. We're then going to create a new live event. And we're going to make this a public webinar. So we're going to leave the setting at public. We'll then click Create Event. We then want to right click and take the link and then head back to Trello. We'll then open up our webinar thread, and then we're going to post our link in the comment section. And then we'll click Save. The webinar will afford us the ability to present live inside of Trello then. Now, if we intend to present slides on our webinar, we'll want to use our Google Docs, and when we're ready to present, we want to use the presenter view. The presenter view will allow us to start our presentation, and it will give us a URL to give our attendees in order to ask their questions. And when they do that, this is actually what the attendees will see. When they write in a question and they click Submit, that question will show up to us, the presenter. And then we can show that question to the audience. And you'll see the audience question in this slide. And when the webinar starts, we'll be broadcasting live into the screen where people are watching in Trello, which will be at this location. Welcome back. Now, in the previous video, we created a public link and a public webinar to contact the public. We can also use Trello to collaborate with the public. And with a few settings on a particular board, we can set up a platform for collaboration with the business community or the public at large. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to enter our board. And once we're in the board, we're going to then change the visibility to public. This means then that this board now will be visible to the search engines and anyone online that wants to find it. So what we'll want to do now is we'll want to go to the menu. We'll then want to click More, and then we're going to click Settings. Now we want the board to remain under the control of the team. What we want to change are the commenting permissions. And we have some options here inside of this board. You'll note that we can disable commenting altogether. We can make it for members only, members and observers, just team members, or we can open up commenting to public members. And in this case, we are going to do just that. Now that this has become a public board, we probably don't want to be notified every time there is a response. So we are going to want to change the notification settings. We're going to do that by unwatching this board. And so now what we'll want to do is we'll need to make the board public, and we can do that with this link at the bottom of our Settings tab. Now, there are a number of ways that we can extend this collaboration if we use power-ups. We can also use power-ups such as Jot Forms to collect data, as well as SurveyMonkey. Both power-ups give us options to the amount of interaction we are going to have with the public. Hello and welcome. Now in this video, we are going to take a look at this editorial calendar, And we're going to deconstruct it based on the steps that we have already taken in this course. Now you'll notice that the editorial calendar is constructed with 5 lists across the top. And these are the same lists that we have been creating in our boards by clicking Add a List. You also have cards with checklists. And these checklists are the same checklists that we have created in our boards. And you've seen those checklists created from the menu item checklist and then adding an item into the checklist feature. You also see that this editorial calendar makes use of dates. And the dates assume that all of these steps are completed before the person can actually check off the due date for this one task step. You also see that this editorial calendar makes use of files uploaded directly to the card. Finally, you can see where tasks have been completed and where tasks are in various stages of completion depending on the due date and depending on the checklist. So in essence, this editorial calendar can be created with steps that have already been taken in this course with a layout of lists equaling the various stages of the publishing process. Now this is one way that you can create a board that requires a process and requires multiple team members to complete their part of the task. Now lastly, this board does make use of one item that was not discussed in this course, and that is the calendar power-up. And when you click the calendar, you can see the month visually and the tasks that are going to be due. That calendar can be added to your Trello board by looking for the calendar power-up and clicking Enable. Of course, you'll need to configure the calendar by using this gearbox. Hello and welcome. We're now looking at an event planning best practice board. And if you look at this event planning board, you'll notice, just as is the case with the editorial calendar, you'll notice that each major step in the timeline is lined across the top to the right. What's different about the way this board is managed is that each card is a task, and each task has a specific member assigned to it. And remember, we can do that by going into a particular card, going to add a member, and making sure that there's only one member added to that card. And what will happen is that that person's avatar will actually show up on the front of the card. And so although the team is given access to the discussions, each team member is responsible for the checklist in their particular card. Now it's a minor point, but it's one worth mentioning, that this board actually has a different kind of background. And typically you can go to the menu to find out what that color or photo is. In the case of the board that was created earlier, we can go to the menu, and you'll notice that there is a change background link there, that if we click it, we can either change the color or add a photo to the background. Now in this case, the event itself has a due date, and the due dates were not set ahead of time, obviously, for the task to be completed. However, the fact that someone has been assigned to each task moves the process forward in a way that a date may not be able to. Now clearly, this is an annual event. So once the event has been completed, we would want to be able to save this entire board so that we would be able to use it again the following year. And in this case, what we would do is we would go to our menu, we would copy the board, we would add the copy to our team, we'd keep the cards and then click Create. Once that board becomes a team board, we can then open the board and we can add it to a specific collection. In this case, we'll need to create a collection, and we'll then enable this board to be added to our new collection. Hello and welcome. You're now looking at a Trello board that was created to recruit affiliates by a team of 6 people. And again, you're going to notice that the process moves from left to right all the way across the page, just as is the case with the other boards that have been discussed for best practices. This is a simply managed board because all that has to happen is that when someone takes an action, they will just move the person into the column. And at the end of the launch, then all of the names are moved back into the list of affiliates to start again. So for example, once someone has been approached, they move into a different category. And you can see that here. And because multiple individuals are using this page, it's an ideal and very simple way of being able to manage the steps in a process. Of course, at the end of every launch, we can go to the Show menu, and then we can copy the board again so that we will be able to reuse the board for a different launch. This board is really designed to keep people from doing double work, as well as to stay focused on a particular task. For example, prior to the list being made, most of the partners continue to talk to the same people, leaving a number of individuals unreached. However, the visual nature of Trello gave the team a new focus and kept them from doing double work. Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to take a look at a lead management system. And as you can tell, it's very similar to the video that you just viewed, in that leads start out on the left-hand side, just as an affiliate lead starts on the left-hand side, and the completion of the process, whether it is successful or not, ends all the way to the right side. Now what you'll see here is that the system makes use of labels. For example, if we went to the menu and we looked at the labels, you'll note that yellow means cold, orange means warm, and red means hot. And so this color code is carried throughout the entire board. The other thing, as if we have seen in past case studies, is that there is one person responsible for the lead. If you look at the first two columns, you'll note that there are no deadlines to be associated with, but once the person moves over to contacted and meeting schedule, there are dates and due dates associated with being moved into the column. Once moved into the meeting column, there are tasks associated with this move: organizing notes, updating presentation, and preparing the contract. You'll notice then that winning the bid or winning the contract brings a creative use of stickers, as you can see here, as well as all three tasks being completed. There's also a follow-up campaign which also has dates associated with them. Now the team does make use of the description by writing in any pertinent notes. Routinely, each one of the leads comes with a name and address, and that information is carried all the way to the right-hand side of the board. You'll notice that in some cases it's appropriate to upload a contract, specifically when the contract has been won. When the proposal has been delivered, a contract is posted here also. So by setting up the process moving from left to right, you do give your team a visual sense of where they are in the process and how they're managing the leads that they have before them. Importantly, they also have a sense for how well they're doing versus the other team members. Welcome back. Typically in the case of most small business teams or solo business teams, support is managed by the same team generating the revenue. And so in those cases, supporting the customer typically has to be split among those team members. This Trello board is really designed to give a visual sense of how much each team member has to do. Now you'll notice that there is a label being used, and the labels represent hierarchy as well as what people are doing together. This board does not necessarily move left to right in a progression. However, each card has a considerable amount of information in it. and it has in it exactly what the person is supposed to understand about their particular task. When you assign multiple tasks to individuals on a team, you'll be making use of the filter. And you can find the filter by going to the menu and then clicking filter cards. And of course, you can filter by the name. For example, if we click the filter for Amy, we'll find all of the cards that she is associated with. We'll have a sense for what she is actually doing versus someone else. We can do the same thing for one of the other team members. Andre in this case. We click on Andre, and then we have all of the activity that Andre is involved in. We can also sort by label. It's a good idea to be able to do that because, again, we're not looking at a timeline. We're looking to try to determine whether or not one person has too much in terms of responsibility and how we can shift to make sure that the distribution is fairly equal. Again, by keeping each card member and label specific, we keep the card management simple, but we make it very easy to filter. In this particular case, it would not necessarily help us to be able to search cards. We want to make it easy to filter, and that will actually happen in some cases when you have to set up your board. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.